These photographs look like they've been edited, manipulated, or photoshopped, but every single one is completely real. Your brain will reject them as fake, but history doesn't lie. Let's dive in. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, twisting apart before collapse, November 7th, 1940. The suspension bridge looks like it's made of rubber as it waves violently. This seems physically impossible, but poor design and wind created a resonance frequency that destroyed it. The photographer captured engineering failure in real time. Mount Vesuvius erupting above Naples, October 1944. US soldiers photographed the volcano mid-eruption. The mushroom cloud and silhouetted landscape look like a painting, but this was real. The volcano destroyed villages. London's Millennium Bridge, opened 2000, photographed from below. The cables seem geometrically impossible, like they're floating. The bridge design was so innovative, it looked like science fiction, but it was real engineering. The bridge had to be closed briefly due to unexpected vibrations. The Eiffel Tower in Paris during Nazi occupation, 1940. The city looks surreal, normally crowded streets now empty. The photograph seems artificially composed, but Paris was under military control. Hitler ordered the city's monuments photographed as trophies of occupation. A civilian swimming in the moat during the evacuation of Dunkirk, France, May 1940. Surrounded by soldiers and chaos, a man peacefully swims. The photograph seems surreal, capturing peaceful tranquility amid war, but soldiers often used waterways to escape during the devastating retreat. London Bridge, photographed while being lifted for a ship to pass through, 1952. The massive stone structure, raised at an impossible angle, looks like it will collapse, but London Bridge was engineered with hydraulic lifts. The photograph shows the bridge at its maximum opening angle. The Crystal Palace, burning in London, November 30th, 1936. The entire glass structure engulfed in flames, photographed at night. The scale of fire seems exaggerated, but the Crystal Palace was enormous, built for the 1851 Great Exhibition. The fire destroyed it in just hours. A ship passing beneath the Tacoma Narrows Bridge shortly before its collapse. The bridge's cables seem impossibly high, but poor construction and resonance frequency made this bridge disaster inevitable. The photograph documents the bridge at its most vulnerable moment. NASA astronauts testing spacesuits in extreme environments, 1960s. The bulky suits look like they're from science fiction films, but these were real early space exploration prototypes. The photographs document humanity's first attempts at extraterrestrial survival gear. Las Vegas's Flamingo Hotel, under construction, 1946. The Art Deco design with flamingo sculptures looks impossibly extravagant for the era, but this was built by mobster Bugsy Siegel. The hotel's lavish design changed Vegas forever and seems like a fantasy from old photographs. US cargo planes dropping supplies to West Berlin during the Soviet blockade, 1948 to 1949. The sky filled with parachutes and planes looks like a war movie scene, but this was real. The Allies dropped 2.3 million tons of supplies to save Berlin from starvation. The Golden Gate Bridge, photographed during dense fog, 1937. Shortly after completion, the bridge seems to vanish into mist, looking like it's floating in clouds. But this was the engineering marvel of the era. The photograph shows the bridge's scale despite being obscured. A cross-section of an ant colony, photographed under magnification, 1930s. The intricate tunnels and chambers look like architectural plans, but these were real colonies, cast in plaster to study insect engineering. The photographs revealed complexity beyond imagination. A long shadow cast by a Manhattan skyscraper during early morning, 1920s. The shadow stretches across multiple city blocks in perfect geometry. The photograph seems artistically composed, but it's pure photography, capturing light and shadow during the skyscraper boom. workers on scaffolding inside Hoover Dam during its construction, 1933 to 1936. The scale is incomprehensible. Tiny workers dwarfed by massive concrete. The photograph looks like it's from a dystopian film, but this was real engineering. 96 workers died building it. The Hindenburg airship in flight before the tragic explosion, May 1937. The massive Zeppelin floating serenely looks like a UFO, but this was hydrogen-filled aviation. Hours later, it burned. The contrast between this peaceful image and the disaster makes it seem unreal. A massive penguin colony photographed during early Antarctic expeditions, early 1900s. Thousands of penguins packed together look like they're digitally inserted, but these photographs documented penguin populations in their natural state. The scale is overwhelming. A transatlantic airplane silhouetted against clouds, 1930s. The aircraft against sky creates an impossible-looking composition, but early aviation photography captured these surreal moments. The plane seemed miraculous, defying gravity in ways people had never imagined. Circus performers displayed as freaks in sideshows, 1920s. The extreme deformities looked like special effects or body manipulation. But these were real people with genetic conditions or injuries, exploited for entertainment. The historical documentation seems surreal because we're unprepared for such raw human difference. This isn't an actual fake photo, but historical photographs showing Vincent van Gogh's environment in Arles, France, 1888, look surreal compared to his paintings. His bedroom, the street where he lived, they seem too ordinary compared to his artistic interpretations. His art was so extreme, reality seems impossible. A sailor kissing a nurse in Times Square, August 15th, 1945. Victory over Japan celebrated wildly. The photograph looks staged, too perfect, too cinematic. But this captured genuine spontaneous celebration. The couple didn't even know each other, yet it became the most iconic image of World War II's end. Nazi scientists lined up after surrendering to Allies, 1945. They look like they're from a propaganda film, but these were real Nazi engineers being captured. Many were offered immunity in exchange for working on American rockets, Operation Paperclip. The photograph documents one of history's most controversial decisions, a close-up photograph of a brown recluse spider under magnification. The details are so intricate, it looks like special effects. But with early macro photography, insects revealed designs so complex, they seemed alien. This level of detail blew minds in the early 1900s. Soviet doctor Leonid Rogozov performing surgery on his own abdomen. Antarctica, April 1961. This photograph looks impossible. A man operating on himself. But Rogozov had acute appendicitis with no way to evacuate. He used a mirror and local anesthetic to remove his own appendix. He survived and lived to age 86. Soviet soldiers executing Nazi collaborators, 1943. The raw violence looks like a war film still. But this documents real atrocities. World War II photography captured humanity at its worst. What makes it seem fake is how brutal reality was, worse than most fiction. A nuclear explosion at Mururoa Atoll, French Polynesia, 1968. The mushroom cloud and shockwave look like science fiction visualization. But France conducted 193 nuclear tests in the Pacific. The environmental and health damage was catastrophic. This photograph documents atomic testing's massive scale. Buzz Aldrin on the lunar surface, July 20th, 1969. The composition looks like it was artistically designed, but this was real space exploration. The photo's perfection sparks conspiracy theories even today. What people don't realize, the photography on the moon was technically advanced because astronauts trained extensively for it. Emperor Maximilian Thopers of Mexico, facing execution by firing squad, June 19, 1867. The photograph looks like a historical painting or dramatization. But this was documented photography of a real execution. Maximilian was captured during Mexico's Civil War and executed. The image haunted the world. The elephant's foot of molten nuclear fuel in Chernobyl's reactor, 1986. This glowing radioactive mass looks like alien material, but it's corium, melted reactor fuel. Hundreds of workers died or got severe radiation poisoning photographing and studying this. The image seems too dangerous to be real, yet it was. Marathon runner Steve Fonyo captured mid-leap while running across Canada, 1985. The action photograph is perfectly timed. He's suspended mid-air in slow motion. Sports photography became so precise that frozen moments look digitally edited. But this is pure timing and camera technology. Crowds of people celebrating on the Berlin Wall as it falls, November 9th, 1989. The scale of celebration looks choreographed or exaggerated, but for 28 years, this wall divided a city and continent. When it finally fell, the emotional release was so massive, crowds surged with joy. This captured a pivotal moment in modern history. 30 photographs that seem impossible to be real, but every single one was captured with actual film cameras in actual moments. What makes them look fake is that reality in those times was extreme.